Prehistoric Hunters. Top 3 in the sky. Number 3 is an ancient form of Homo sapiens, with a very special adaptation that allowed it to soar through the skies and become the apex predator of its environment. But was this really the case? Let's take a look at the evidence. Hi everyone, welcome back to Paleologic. Today we are taking a look at the top 3 prehistoric hunters in the sky. But before we get into it, make sure to leave a like on this video. It really helps us out. And if you're a fan of prehistoric creatures, subscribe for more awesome videos. Okay, so let's kick off this list with the first of our sky hunters, the mighty Pterosaurs. Okay, just to be clear from the outset, I do understand that technically birds aren't dinosaurs. But since they are technically avian reptiles, and given the fact that they rule the skies today, I think it's fair to say that they are worthy of inclusion in any discussion regarding the apex predators of our planet. Pterosaurs was one of the largest birds to ever exist, with a wingspan reaching up to almost 20 feet. That's longer than a Tyrannosaurus rex was tall, weighing in at about 600 pounds. This bird was able to ride thermals all day long, searching for unsuspecting prey. Its diet consisted of smaller animals, including other birds, but also fish and small mammals. With such a massive wingspan, this bird could easily snatch fish right out of the water with its hooked beak and talons. It could also use its size and maneuverability to great effect, swooping down on unsuspecting prey or snatching it out of the air with relative ease. But Pterosaurs wasn't just a mindless killing machine. These birds were actually quite intelligent, using their keen eyesight to spot prey from great distances and communicating with each other using a variety of calls. They also had the ability to work together in groups, which made them even more effective hunters. In fact, it's thought that these birds may have been the inspiration for the thunderbird myths of Native American cultures. The thunderbird is often depicted as a massive bird with a wingspan so large that it can blot out the sun. It's said that the thunderbird could control the weather and was a powerful ally to humans. While there is no concrete evidence to support these claims, the fact that these myths are shared by many different cultures suggests that they may have been inspired by real-life encounters with large birds, such as pterosaurs. And while we're talking about giant birds, let's stay there for no. 2 on this list with the truly gargantuan Argentavis. This bird was truly a giant, with a wingspan reaching up to an incredible 30 feet, almost twice that of a bald eagle. It weighed in at over 2,000 pounds, making it heavier than most dinosaurs. The Argentavis lived in South America during the Miocene epoch, about 20 million years ago. During this time, the continent was covered in dense rainforests, which provided plenty of habitat for this massive bird. The Argentavis was a scavenger, meaning that it fed primarily on dead animals. However, it's thought that it would have been capable of hunting live prey as well, using its massive size and strength to overpower its victims. The bird's head and neck were relatively small compared to its body, which is a characteristic of but don't let that fool you. This bird was an absolute unit. One of the most fascinating things about the Argentavis is how it was able to fly. Given its massive size, you would think that it would be too heavy to take to the skies, but birds are incredibly efficient flyers, and this was no exception. The bird's wings were adapted for soaring, allowing it to ride thermals all day long without expending too much energy. This would have allowed it to cover vast distances in search of food, and it would have been virtually impossible for any predator to catch it. Talk about an effective anti-predator defense system. While the exact cause of its extinction is unknown, it's thought that changes in climate and habitat may have played a role. As the rainforests of South America began to dwindle, so did the available food sources for the Argentavis. And with no natural enemies, there simply wasn't enough food to go around. But despite its impressive size and adaptations, the Argentavis eventually went extinct, likely due to a combination of factors. So now we come to the final entry in our list of the top 3 prehistoric hunters in the sky. The largest flying creature that ever existed, the mighty Titan. Okay, so I know what you're thinking. Wait a second, the Titanoboa was a snake? Snakes can't fly. Well, you're right. The Titanoboa couldn't fly in the traditional sense. It didn't have wings or feathers. However, it was able to glide. Now, I know that gliding isn't the same thing as flying, but hear me out on this one. The Titanoboa was an enormous snake, reaching lengths of up to 50 feet. That's longer than a school bus. It weighed in at over 1,000 pounds, making it one of the heaviest snakes that ever lived. But how did this gigantic reptile glide through the air? Well, it's thought that the Titanoboa used its massive body to create lift. Similar to how a bird or an insect flies, it would flap its body side to side, which would generate lift and allow it to stay airborne for extended periods of time. This would have been particularly useful for hunting, since it would have allowed the Titanoboa to cover vast distances in a short amount of time. It could easily glide over large swaths of land, searching for prey, and when it found what it was looking for, it would simply dive down and constrict its prey before it even had a chance to react. Now this might seem far-fetched, but remember that snakes are reptiles, and reptiles are able to do some pretty crazy stuff when it comes to getting around. Take, for example, the flying fish. Flying fish are actually more closely related to snakes than they are to actual flying animals like bats or birds, and yet they're able to glide through the air using their specially adapted fins, so it's not too much of a stretch to think that a highly evolved snake like the Titanoboa could have done the same thing. Another example is the Jesus Christ lizard. Okay, that's not its real name. I just thought it was a funny name. But anyway, this lizard is able to run on water. That's right, it can literally run on water. It does this by increasing the surface area of its feet, which allows it to displace more water and generate enough force to keep itself afloat. Again, this seems like it would be impossible, but it's actually a real thing. So given the fact that reptiles are already able to do some pretty amazing things, when it comes to movement, it's not too hard to believe that a highly evolved snake like the Titanoboa could have figured out how to glide. And let's face it, the idea of a 50-foot snake gliding through the air is pretty terrifying. There is some evidence to suggest that the Titanoboa was actually capable of limited flight. In 1979, paleontologists discovered a fossilized footprint in North America that is believed to have been left behind by a Titanoboa. And the strange thing about this footprint is that it shows clear signs of an animal that was airborne. The print is a clear imprint of a snake's belly scales, which would have been exposed to the air while it was gliding. This suggests that the Titanoboa was indeed capable of gliding through the air, albeit in a very limited way. Now, some people have argued that this print could have been left behind by a different type of animal entirely, but the fact that it's so well preserved makes it a strong piece of evidence nonetheless. So who knows? Maybe one day we'll find more evidence that will prove once and for all that the Titanoboa was truly a flying snake. So there you have it, the top 3 prehistoric hunters in the sky. Did any of these creatures surprise you? Let me know in the comments below. And if you enjoyed this video, make sure to leave a like and subscribe for more awesome prehistoric content. Thanks for watching. See ya!